All right, so I should probably show this screen again for our friends playing along at home. So we're doing 714 today. We're checking homework first. So to get the scale factor, it's always multiplication, guys. Always multiplication. But we know that division is essentially the same thing. So if we don't know how to multiply forwards, like the direction we're trying to go right now, if we don't know how to multiply forwards, what do? Divide backwards. So if I do 5 divided by 6, if I do that in my calculator, it's kind of a gross number. 0.8333 forever. So I could instead just say, well, my scale factor here is 5/6. It is the fraction 5/6. If we go the other way from B to A, like part B is asking us, from B to A, that would be the reciprocal, and that would be 6/5. Because from B to A would actually be getting bigger. And that is a 6 compared to a 5. So what relationship do they have? They're reciprocals. That's all you would need to write there. They are reciprocals. Absolutely. Let's check the rest of these. Guys, remember, a tree diagram is that thing from probability. Right? Back in probability, that tree diagram. Now, if I was making this, I'd probably have it turned like 90 degrees. My tree would probably be going down the page. Questions. We talked about median and quartiles and all that stuff in the math notes box. So check your math notes with that if you need. Those of you who look bored right now, I just hope that this homework was like manageable and you're just like, all right, sweet, ready to turn it in. Aiden? 21B. This is the one that I was thinking we were talking about first, was saying, did you start by setting up a proportion? So, for how long will Amina need to drive to get to the best fishing spot on the lake? That's asking me how many minutes, right? So, express your answer in a portion of an hour and in minutes. This is going to be slightly easier. So, I'm going to start with that, then I'll circle back around to how many hours. So, if I set up 35 miles per hour. 35 miles per 1 hour. But what I could also say is 35 miles. How many minutes are in an hour? 60. So we could also say that. From there, how far does she need to go to get to that spot? 27 miles. So that goes on top because that's where I put my miles. If I don't know how to multiply forwards, divide backwards. 27 divided by 35. It's a gross number. Good thing I can leave it in the calculator. Leave it there and just hit times. See how it grabbed the previous answer? That's what A and S means. So I'm going to apply that multiplication to the denominator, and it's 46 minutes. Yeah, if we want to be more accurate, 46.3 minutes. And if we want to talk about how much of an hour, there are multiple ways to write the portion of an hour here. It's a little over 3/4 because 45 minutes. So guys, what you could write is 46 minutes compared to 60 minutes. But honestly, I care more about just getting this amount of minutes and having this proportion set up. I care more about that than I care for portion of hour. So this decimal, that's your portion of an hour, is what John is saying. Yeah, because we're multiplying by that 0.77. So this is approximately equal to 0.77. I care more about your minute setup. All right, we do not have a lot of time to spare, so if you got questions, let's ask them. So remember, first step there is find the median, right? Find that middle value, and then we can find quartile 1 and quartile 3. And the interquartile range is just how far. How far from quartile 1 up to quartile 3. So that's how they get 7, because from -2 to +5 is 7. Did you start by putting them in order? Did you start then by finding the median? What did you find as the median? Can anyone confirm if the median's 1?
Yeah, it's 1.5. The median's 1. Oh, wait.
This says 1.5. So, guys, to review what we had in our notes, and I don't think I'm going to do this one for you. What I should see when I look at your paper is all of these numbers listed out in order. Then when we go to find the middle degree value, it isn't one of these numbers. It's between 1 and 2. So if you put these in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, there will be 7 numbers on the top half, 7 numbers on the bottom half, and the median is going to be between. All right, I'll do this for you. Somebody help me out with putting these in order. -5 the lowest.
Yeah. -4, -3.
Hold on, you're going too fast. -4, -3.
-2. -1. 0, 1, 1. 2, 3. Or no, yeah. 4, 5, and then 3 7s.
So if I count up my numbers to put 7 on bottom and 7 on top, my split here would happen right there. This is my lower half. This is my upper half. And it's a little tricky because these numbers are like more spread out because the negatives in between them. But this would be my halfway point. This would be my median. But there's no number there. So we have to figure out what number would actually be between 1 and 2. That's how we get 1.5. If you don't have your numbers listed out on your paper in order, I know you cheated. And I don't really like using that word, but like, guys, knock it off. You're only hurting yourself. If you don't actually try these problems, you're only hurting yourself. So then from there, find the middle of the bottom set. Well, now that there are 7 numbers, I can find a middle. -2 would be the middle of these 7. And 1, 2, 3, 5 would be the middle of this upper set. So that's how I find quartile 1 and quartile 3. All right, let's move on then. Turn that in if it's done. In your math notes, gotta get mine back out. Guys, the math notes that would go with today's lesson would be the scaling part, which is right below quartiles and interquartile range. So if you go right below that on your paper, what we were literally just talking about, this is the sort of stuff we're doing today. It's also what we were doing yesterday. So there's not really anything that you need to highlight specifically here. This is just your reminder of how to do it. Scaling can be used to enlarge or reduce, right? We can get bigger, we can get smaller. Yesterday we got smaller on the mattress problem, right? We got a great deal on that mattress. And we got bigger on the problem where we got a raise, right? We did such a good job at our summer job. We got a raise. All right. So there's your notes for today. If we were looking for a discount of 25%, we could do 0.25 and like we did yesterday, or we could ask ourselves what percent is on still. Well, if you take 25% off, what percent is on? 75. So I could find the sale price that way. Alrighty then. I forget what's in your notes. 714. Yeah, so 39 is in your notes. So you should have out your 714 page. Anyone want to read? Farah, you want to read this paragraph about the Sutton family?
The Sutton family took a trip to see the mountains and Rocky Mountain National Park. Linda and her brother Lee kept asking, "Are you there yet?" At one point. Their mom answered, "No, but I can tell you is that we have driven 100 miles and we are about 2/5 of the way there."
So, this is on your paper, by the way. So if you're trying to read along, this is on your paper. You can go ahead and read the next sentence if you want, Farah. The Linda termed.
Linda turned to Lee and asked, "How long is this trip anyway?" They each started thinking about whether they could determine the length of the trip from the information they were given.
So I want you and your team to talk about the situation that's been set up for you. The images on your paper might help you. The triangles do not go with this problem, although they kind of look like they might be able to. So the little like bar graph diagram thing, we'll look at this in a minute, the triangle part, but I would probably look at Linda's method. Talk with your team about how could you figure out how far this entire trip is. Okay, I gotta go make sure that Estes and Kabila know that they can come over here for the tornado drill, so I will be right back. Oh yeah, right. I hear some really good ideas being discussed, but I also see some people that look like they could take a nap. So, let's bring it back together. Cade, what did your group talk about? I heard what your group was talking about. We need to chat after class if you need to pass again, because you guys were talking really good ideas. So if you weren't listening, we need to talk. So see me after class. Mia, what was your group talking about?
We were talking about how 2/5
Since they tell us 2/5, and they show us 2/5 is 100, how could we figure out 1/5? How'd you get to 50? So if we divide by 2, then 1/5 will be, how many miles did you say? 50 miles. Questions on how Mia got there? That 1/5 is 50 miles. Well, hang on. Any questions on how Mia got to 1/5? So then, what would you do with that, Mia? Then, since this region would need to be multiplied by 5 to get the whole thing, we can do times 5. And that would work on bottom, right? 5/5 would make the whole trip. So how many miles would that be? 250 miles. Questions on that strategy? Questions? John?
Can I say a strategy that I did earlier?
I mean, there are multiple ways, right? There's often multiple ways, so sure, go ahead.
So I started with doubling 100, which would get you 4/5.
So John did another one of these, right? He did another 100.
And
Then-
we know that 100 divided by 2 is 50, and 50 is 1/5. So that's all you have to add. Add those together, you get 250.
No. Your process was still like 2 or 3 steps, depending on how you look at it. I don't know if this is easier. I mean, it's still good,
Faster.
but you made a big old claim of this is easier. Well, I don't know, man. Divide by 2 and then multiply by 5 is what Mia did, and you did double and then half and then add them all up. You actually took an extra step compared to Mia. So I don't know. Be careful. In my opinion. So that's what it comes down to. Whatever's easiest for you. So Lee, we don't quite know. Lee's special, right? So Lee draws out some triangles, and Lee says, okay, well, if we've gone 100 miles, and that's 2/5 of the whole trip, then this would be the whole trip. And Linda's like, bro, when did triangles come into this? And Lee's like, no, hear me out, right? So Lee's like, look, I got this, just like listen to my other way, right? Because in Lee's opinion, this is how he sees it. So we just had on your homework last night, man, it's like somebody planned this,
No way.
how we can go the other direction. If the scale factor coming this way is 2/5, what would be the scale factor going the opposite way if we're still trying to multiply? Aiden?
Well, you want to so it's actually the same as 2/5 because it's the same way back and the same way front.
I mean, same kind of, but it's not. It's not 2/5. If I'm trying to multiply, I don't want to divide. I want to multiply. So if you were dividing, you're right. Like you are right, Aiden. But I want to multiply. Eli? 5 halves, guys. On your paper, you need to write this. This is literally what we did in your homework last night. You should have written down the word reciprocal, because we just went over that question. I'm pretty sure it's even still right here. Now I'm way too far. But yeah, we just did this. If it's 2/5 this way, and I still want to multiply, it's 5 halves. It's the reciprocal the other way. So when Lee does 100 times 5 halves, well, what's 100 times 5? It's 500 first, but then over 2, and this becomes 250. So did Lee get the right answer? Yeah. I don't know where triangles came into all this, but Lee got the right answer. Questions? It's the same. Actually, this is easier than everything we just did. So, remember, opinions, right? It's all what makes sense in our brain. All right, on your notes here. I'm going to pull this out so we can all look at the same thing. On your notes here, you have this, and you should, down here, have written that we multiplied by 5 halves the reciprocal. The other reason why, guys, we've talked about this, is right here. I think I see a dear old friend. If I take a number, even if that number is 2/5, because what we see up here is, over here, we did 2/5 of x, right? They took x, they multiplied by 2/5. 2/5 of x is 100. But I don't want 2/5 to be here. I want to get rid of it. So if I divide a number by itself, what do we get when we divide a number by itself? You know it, you love it.
No, I don't love that.
The giant one, which also is over here. Because, sorry, I'm hoping my focus will come back in a second. What is 5 times 2? 10. What is 2 times 5? So if this, guys, and I would write this if I was you, this turns into actually 10 over 10 and 500 over 2. And what's 10 over 10? A giant one. A grande uno. Uno gigante? And then, anyone take French? I gotta check with Nolan, because he took French. He said he could tell me how to say giant one. So guys, when you are trying to get rid of a fraction, multiply by the reciprocal. Guys, I would highlight this in like 5 different colors if I was you. Well, maybe not like over top of each other. Please make sure your notes are like written on that you will look at again and you will actually use. So now you'll need graph paper. I'm going to skip through a bunch of slides and say try what we just said with these equation problems. You want to figure out what x is, and we just told you how to do it. How to destroy any fraction and turn it into 1. We multiply by the reciprocal. For the sake of me being honest, we made it back to the beginning. I am moving the post-it and shuffling. Because I told you guys I was trying to go all the way through the deck.
Wait, B has a wrong
And apparently since Monday I have. B has a what?
wrong answer.
What? I don't know what you mean. It has a wrong. It doesn't have an answer.
12 equals 27x. If you put that over this reciprocal, 7 halves.
Well, hold on. We'll get there. So here, I got to do new post-it.
14 as well.
All right, new post-it on Eve's card. So Eve, when we look at A, 9 halves x equals 27. On our notes, we just highlighted and everything that we want to multiply by the reciprocals. What's the reciprocal here? So that's, you gotta ask for help then. A reciprocal, guys, the way you can remember reciprocal and what you could write on your notes, I've said this before, I'll say it again, is refliprical. Reciprocal, reflip.
Please have Sunny Solis to the office. Sunny, please come to the office. Thank you.
So here, we took 2/5, we flipped it, and got 5/2. So over here, and Eve, I know you already said it, but just to make sure everyone else hears it, what is it if I flip this fraction? 2/9. So guys, on your graph paper, you should have shown that we're going to multiply by 2/9 on that side. Do I only do it on that side? No, I got to do it on both sides. What will make 27 easier to multiply with? Yeah, make it a fraction. So put this over 1. And now we can do times 2/9. 27 times 2 is 54 over 9. Or, guys, we can cross-reduce here. You don't have to, but we could recognize that 27 and 9 can both divide by 9. And this gets us 3. This gets us 1. Or, if we solve 54 over 9, either way, we get the answer 6. So in A, x would equal 6. We can plug it back in and check it if we want to. In B, I'm going to change how I write this. We like it better when the variable is on the left side of the equation. So guys, give me your eyes for a second. This is better, and actually I'm going to ask you to write it down again. This is better if we write it 2/7 x equals 12. It's easier to deal with. Because then, Vanessa, help me out. What's the reciprocal of 2/7? 7 over 2. We're multiplying with that. What do I do to 12 to make it easier? Put it over 1. And now I can do that multiplication. It's 70 plus another 70 plus 14. Yeah, 84 over 2. So x is 42. Did we get to C, or do you need a moment? All right, take like a minute. I'm so scared they're gonna do the tornado crap.
Good morning, Perry, Phoenix, Worthington Academy, and Rockbridge. This is Mr. Now. This week is severe weather emergency week in Ohio. The Franklin County Emergency Management and Homeland Security agencies are urging everyone at every school to participate in tornado safety plans today. And
Hey, you should listen.
system will be activated statewide at 9:50. Now,
They're not gonna do that because there's actually bad weather.
I think that they might not be doing that until tomorrow, but because we have sunshine and clear weather here, we're just going to go ahead and hold it as we planned. Being inside, whenever those tornado sirens go off, if you're in an interior position, you may not be able to hear the sirens, but from outside and around our building, you should. Teachers, please take a minute to review the tornado safety plan. Now is the time to locate the evacuation plan placards posted near the front of every classroom and space here in the building. They're brand new. They were installed by the construction company. This placard shows the emergency egress plan for fires. It gives you an alternative path. It also gives you a primary path. And it also does
Hey,
get a tornado warning.
don't talk. You can work on your homework though. If you're gonna not listen to Mr. Nally, at least do your homework.
When we begin this drill, please
What? I'm just being
your
honest.
assigned area. Be safe and be quiet. If you're located in a classroom or safe hallway, please sit down, cross your legs, and stay safe. I know some elementaries, they rotated to face the wall. You may face the center of the hallway, but I do need you to be quiet. One of the most important aspects of the drill is to maintain silence.
So this is gonna
during the drill.
take them longer than it's gonna take us, because all their rooms have windows. If he stops talking, we're gonna keep doing class.
If you're moving to a restroom or a locker room, you may stand here for the drill. In the case of a real emergency,
So,
you might have to sit on the
for
floor
real,
and cover
if you're in the bathroom or whatever, try to get back to whatever classroom you're in. If an emergency happens,
At this time,
it would be a safe place, but we need to know where you are. So that's the concern there.
Unless you're in a restroom. Close all the doors. Some areas will be more crowded than others. And we'll go ahead and balance that after we see where everybody's situated. I will come back on the PA to let you know when this drill is complete. At this time, please move to your shelter position.
All right. So, I sure as heck hope not.
It's like everyone just waiting there while the tornado.
Real tornado happens. Ken gets on. He's like, hide!
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So negative 3/4. We can even do this one together if we want. Negative 3/4 x equals 21. They have windows. So, yeah, sorry for you guys. You have to keep doing math. There's nobody over there. They don't have class right now. Mr. Estes said he feels safe enough over there. So, when I do negative 3/4, he ain't afraid of no fake tornado. The hey, this is what like trips people up. The reciprocal of a negative fraction is still negative. Okay, people like for some reason want to try to mess with the sign. So guys, in my mind, the easiest way to do this is literally just flip the whole thing, leave the negative on the 3, leave the 4 as just 4, and what would happen here is this would make negative 12, this would make negative 12, and what's a number divided by itself? Negative 13?
Oh.
Are you just messing with me? Giant 1! So that is how that gets out of here, right? That's just 1. So we get 1x. But wait, what do I still need to do? Do it on this side. What do I do to 21 to make it easier? Put it over 1. Yo, knock it off. Then times 4 over negative 3. What's 21 times 4? 84. What's 1 times negative 3? Negative 3. Hey, quit waiting for the answer. Think. What's a positive divided by a negative? Negative. It stays negative. What's 84 divided by 3? Oh, yeah. I don't know. Negative 28? Yeah, 28. Guys, sometimes this is easier to think about so 90 would be easier to do, right? 90 divided by 3 would be 30. How far away from 90 are we? 6, right? So we're 2 3s away. If this is confusing you, ignore me. But sometimes it's easier to think about a bigger number and then bring it back. So here in C, x would be negative 28. All right, I'm guessing that we're in this class until at least after this tornado that is fake. All of that is in your notes. All of that is in your notes. All right, sweet. Do your homework.
This is Mr. Nally once again.
Work on your
And I
homework.
do want to compliment you on how quiet this drill
I wasn't quiet.
Thank you for your participation. And that concludes. Thank you, Drew.
I mean, all you gotta do is get away from windows, essentially. There's no basement.
There was this one time, I think it was like 2 years ago. Like,
Hey, you got like 3 minutes to work on homework. I would solve a problem if I was you.
there was like this one, like 2 years ago. There was this iron